Hello, today we'll be talking about the impact of the printing press. The printing press was a very important piece of history. Printing itself began in China with block printing. This included wooden blocks with a reversed wall of text. Later, around 970 to 1051 AD, movable type was invented by a man named Bi Sheng. Instead of a large panel of text, it used individual letters which could be reused for more than just one book or poem. Movable type used clay instead of wood, allowing for easier cleaning and a more consistent texture. Later in 1297, Wang Chen brought block printing back and developed a way to make wood more precise and long-lasting. He used his methods to print Nung Shu, a collection of agriculture techniques which is now considered the first mass-produced book. Much later in France, goldsmith Johannes Gutenberg began experimenting with new methods of printing. He perfected the Gutenberg press in 1450, and it became commercially available. His creation used metal instead of wood, and similar to movable type, had individual, reusable letters. These revolutions and improvements in printing led to the printer we have today. The printing press had many social effects as well. Because of its ability to produce many copies of information in a relatively short amount of time, people were much more informed and educated about world matters. Sailors and writers helped distribute news pamphlets to other printers, who would then make more copies to spread the news. These pamphlets literally brought people together, as the illiterate would gather in public to hear a reader recite the news. The printing press allowed for more effective communication, and it definitely helped people. It gave politicians and scholars a platform to spread their ideas around the world. Since it was impossible to destroy all copies of a printed book, people who the church deemed as heretics were able to counteract censorship. This included Galileo and others who influenced logical thinking during the scientific revolution. The printing press made people's lives easier, and it allowed people to be more engaged with each other and the world. As far as environmental impact, printing has little effects. Paper products only contribute to 1% of the average household's carbon dioxide emissions. Paper's carbon footprint is very low because it is made from a renewable resource that stores carbon, which is trees. It is also made with mostly renewable energy and is recyclable. As you can see, paper is not a big contributor to the greenhouse effect. Many think that printer cartridges can pollute the environment, but that only occurs when we don't dispose of it properly. For example, throwing it away instead of recycling or through e-waste. Printing itself has very little effects aside from using energy. The printing press also had an economic impact, in which it changed the economy for the better. It allowed for a more efficient production of books, which made them cheaper and more available to the poor. It also created a new trade in the form of printing, where many set up private shops upon the spread of the Gutenberg press. Newspapers and books grew rapidly in demand, and due to faster production, the prices lowered as well. This rapid spread of information allowed people to learn about and assume new jobs. Eventually, these small printing companies moved into large factories, creating many job opportunities and a higher supply of printed goods. The printing press led to the printing industry today. Around 410,000 people are employed, and the industry encompasses both blue and white collar jobs. Layout artists and graphic designers work on the presentation and cover of the book. Afterwards, the book is produced by printers, binders, and production workers. Finally, the books are packaged and shipped. All of these jobs have different salaries. Due to companies having an increased use of the internet and switching to digital workflow, some believe that printing is becoming obsolete. However, the print industry is still large and will always have a market. Thank you for listening.